even though the true twin flame inner work is only valid if it connects you with that deeper place inside of you. And that is reached by the turnaround that needs to be in the true twin flame inner work. And it ends with loving yourself on that deeper layer. And to make that easy, we have the key tool with 4 steps, 2 versions. I have a 3rd version for trauma work as well. Even though that is the only valid twin flame inner work. And it always ends in, like, let's say, your higher self. Even though that is so, and you can study the true twin flame inner work tool in my Facebook group called Your Abundance, or link below, or in the blog on my website, etc., in the videos on my channel that are about it. Even though all of that is so, and you need to do that twin flame inner work in relation to a true teacher that will eventually, when it is your time, while you do that twin flame inner work, sort of beam the consciousness state of twin flame, harmonious twin flame union to you. And then you really have that foundation after which you continue to do the twin flame inner work. Even that is knowing that that is also, and it will never be any different. Here is something that will be a prequel to it, that will be a preparation for it, something that you need. You do need this. This is the thing. You need connection with your feelings, your emotions. What's going on with you? What's going on in relationship between you and your twin flame, or between you and whatever else? Because your twin flame is simply the biggest mirror of them all, but the whole universe mirrors to you, makes you feel something, makes you have emotions. Whatever you call them, emotions, feelings, upsets. Whatever you call it, you're triggered, something's going on, you don't feel right, you feel not fully peaceful. Whatever that is. That's important. You need to start with that. You need to get used to feeling that and not numb it out. And if you can't do that, then the whole twin flame work can also be thrown out of the window, because you're not tapping in what you're actually feeling. To then bring that in yourself through the turnaround with the true twin flame inner work to, like, the higher self, or the one that you are inside your twin flame union, to arrive there in the full divine love. You can't have an entrance there. You are ignoring step 1, which is always become aware of how you're actually feeling. And if you are trying to overstep that, then you are doing, what do they call that? So eloquently, spiritual bypassing. There it is. And it never works. You have to actually be able to feel your feelings. If you don't know what your feelings are, your emotions are, your upsets are, your triggers are, your feeling not okay are, what your I don't feel fully peaceful here is, if you don't know what that is, and you don't want to face that, you don't want to name it, you don't want to pinpoint it, there's no inner work, no twin flame inner work, and no progress on the journey. So that's why I made a complete course for you, entirely free, about how to frickin' feel your feelings, okay? And it is in the link below. 13 steps does this course consist of. And I'm going to talk with you about that. You can press the link and move yourself through the steps that are sort of the lessons that you move yourself through. But let's look at them, because if you can't feel your feelings, the whole twin flame inner work doesn't make sense, and you will never make it work. So, 1, allow yourself to feel. Sounds so simple, but it can be so daunting. Of course, we all feel pain when we stumble over a hidden rock in the fields and fall over. Sure, that's a feeling. Sit down and feel it through. You'll notice that when you get in the habit of sitting down for a second or simply stopping for a moment, you can become aware of what's going on, also when it is not blatant physical hurt, but instead a more subtle feeling of whatever you will encounter in yourself. We know feelings when we are deeply sad, when we are very angry, when we are ecstatic with joy, and in fact every other moment too, as there is always something at least very subtle to feel for you. Again, when you stop for a moment and pay attention, then allow the feeling to do what it wants to do. Let it flow for a bit, follow where it wants to go, and disallowing yourself to feel. That is what it is. You can pick it up anytime again and make a renewed connection, flow further and follow it a little further on its path. That is step 1. Stop for a moment and feel that you are feeling things. Try to feel that, right? No, don't numb yourself out. That's why we have in step 2, this one, allow yourself to have feelings. You have a right to have these feelings and own them, no matter of what kind they are. Your feelings are also the color and taste, as it were, of your energy. And your energy field is what your body lives in and is closely related to and actually one with. You have a right to have and own everything going on in all those fields of life, for they are alive and given to you as a birthright. Allow yourself to feel specific feelings in this beautiful construct. Be the tree that feels her leaves, and in the leaves she feels the wind blow, and on the surface of the leaves she feels the sunshine. Allow yourself to identify different feelings you have and name them if you can. Journal about them too. This can be very helpful. This is a self-education that you can give yourself. Well, it speaks for itself, actually, I think. You really are allowed to have feelings and to take time to journal about them every morning, for instance, when you just got up. That's allowed. That's good. It's also very good to do that, to know where you are in that story of your feelings and what kind of things you're going to take out of that journal, the running story, to do the twin flame inner work on, which is not yet in this 13 steps course, but is something that you will need to start to do as well when you want to go to your true twin flame union and your harmonious unions even. So really helpful to write a journal, because that's just like a flowing way how you can keep on checking in with yourself about what the heck is going on, how you feel about your twin flame, about your work, about your food, about your daily life, about what you dreamt last night, anything. Very helpful to have as a baseline to keep on checking in with yourself. So let's see what step 3 brings. Allow yourself to have a researching attitude about the identity of these feelings. Okay. It is really okay to not know what the feeling is you sense today in your body, in your energy fields, in your heart. It can be a vague something like a cloud, unsure if it will rain or move to let the sun through today. Simply have an inquiring mind about it and start to be attentive to whatever it is you can discern. That is the right attitude. Even when you have super clear stuff going on, such as rage, or have the tears falling on your clothes. Because what is this rage exactly? Maybe it is a good rage, not a bad one at all. What is this crying in a moment about? Do I feel self-pity? Or am I finally grieving some old pain until it is completely gone? Only when we are inquisitive and not submissive can we get to clarity, and at the very same time keep on allowing the feelings to flow in whatever direction they want to move. Yeah. Maybe you just feel today towards your twin flame like, yeah, I just feel this vague sense of sadness because they're not choosing me. And it's only like a vague sense of sadness or something today because I'm pretty good. I'm very good, but it's like this vague sense of sadness. Yeah. And then I write that down and it becomes clear. Yeah, that actually does feel like grief. And I write down, is this grief? Grief of letting go of what I never was. Because I'm in the process so much of becoming who I actually am in my union. And by naming that, you so clearly get into contact with more subtle dimensions of these feelings by trying to find words for it. That's why words are amazing. They are such a helpful tool for your inner work. And I'm sure you can work with words because you can speak, right? I'm sure you can write some of what you speak down, so most adults can. So, yeah, very helpful. 4, allow yourself to feel your inner child as the source from some feelings and the direction of healing. You might find out that feeling your feelings make you feel like a child again, or some feelings are clearly from a child like you. This is good. In everybody lives an inner child, the you that once was a real child and now it is still able to be sensed inside of you. This is a successful feeling session like so. Be with the child and allow its feelings to take place. Now you are in a sense with the two of you, and that is very good as well. Be together in the feelings. Yeah, maybe you do feel like, oh, this grief makes me feel like I'm a child. And that is okay. That is completely normal. Maybe it just reminds you of that you were a child that lost something in childhood and you felt sad. Or you lost the attention of your mother and you felt sad. And that can coincide with today's grief, and it can be both just as much true and just as relevant. Write it down and acknowledge your inner child, that they are allowed to exist fully. Maybe you can even see them with your inner eyes. Maybe you can even visualize how they look and how old they are. Maybe you can even take them on your lap in your inner experience and in your visualization and love them and ask them what they need from you and give it to them in your visualization and give them a hug and assure them that they can always come back to you if they need. Really helpful. That's what grown-ups do. They take care of their inner child until it is grown up. 5, understand that big emotions calm down when you have felt them through. I would call them emotions before processing. See also point 6. So after processing, I would call them feelings. Yes, it will change. The very act of stopping and listening to your own feelings makes them change. They transform when you are attentive to them. And that is the right direction. Big emotions will become something else. Perhaps a quiet feeling of love, a newfound space can pop up unexpectedly after the rage has been heard and felt. Or the tears have been shed, or the mind clouds have been sliding slowly away. Expect the unexpected. This is why an inquisitive mind is the right mindset too. From doing this, from paying attention to how the F you feel, which is important, something changes. It becomes different from actually feeling your feelings. And you want that. You want change in that. Because then new feelings can come and they can become better and better, right? But even if you're unsure if it will get better or worse, it's always worth feeling them through to the end, following that feeling to the end. Because that's what processing means. And that's how your system, your mental, emotional, physical system gets updated. Even without doing the real twin flame inner work with the key tool yet, this is how you would need to deal with feelings for success. Let's look into the next step. 6. Understand that subtle feelings in your heart are also feelings, right? I would call them feelings when it is about the subtle sensations in your energy field and heart. But for the sake of ease, I call them all feelings in this block. See also point 5. The subtle atmosphere of disappointment mixed with fear changing in a spark of hope and newfound sensitivity for the moment in your heart, for instance. That can be a feeling moment that you are aware of that is so subtle. Yet it does direct you when you listen to it. You must once have felt feelings like that and then based an important choice on it, such as let a relationship go or start a new one. These kinds of hard decisions are real, instead of contrived happenings in your subtle energy space, feeling space, heart space. And that makes them also real. Yeah, so also very subtle feelings are real. They are feelings, they're there, and they are allowed to be validated. And don't you remember these moments in your life when just this vague sense of something build up in your heart and it eventually made you make a decision? It is of utmost importance. And when you combine this with the true twin flame inner work, you will come to conclusions that makes you make decisions on the base of your feelings that are very effective for twin flame success. So that's why it's of the utmost importance to start to feel your feelings, because they are already the material that actually make you make decisions anyway. So rather start to understand them, journal about them, actually feel them, follow them, do this whole course, and then also do the twin flame inner work, which changes your feeling life in a certain way that is beneficial for your twin flame journey. Better do all of that, right? Because otherwise you will be making decisions anyway on the basis of your feelings, and you're not even aware of your feelings, or you're aware of your feelings and you make decisions on them anyway. And then it is best to also do the twin flame inner work, so that you don't make decisions on the basis of your feelings in your heart that are not gone through the twin flame inner work yet. But you will do it with the feelings that have gone through the twin flame inner work, and then the decision comes. And that will be the actual decision that is important to your twin flame journey and to the success of it. Okay, let's look further. 7. Understand that processing the feelings means feeling them fully. And what this will mean is they transform into something new. Feeling whatever is going on to completion is a necessary step to get to such a clarity that leads to real life decisions that are crucial. Well, that's what we talked about, right? Have patience with yourself and sit the many sessions out that you need, in which you feel through what is going on. Also have persistence in keeping on following where it brings you. Yeah, there's like a wisdom in how feelings operate, you know. It's just the point that this is how you operate with feelings, but then we want to have them function in the right way for the twin flame journey, and that's the other tool, the key tool. You need to combine it with that eventually, but this is just 13 steps that makes you aware that you actually have feelings. So here you go. There will be real moments of arrival, and you will know that without a doubt. The new thing is then suddenly there, right? Sometimes the decision that you make at the base of your heart's feelings is suddenly coming in. And the point of all of this from point 1 to 7, that's where we're now, is that you really want that. Believe me, you want that new thing even when you don't know yet exactly what it will be. Yeah. And point 8 is processing feelings is safe. You'll have to know that. And taking time and other resources to do so is an adequate response that always pays. Never hold back on giving yourself what you need to get through the feeling sequence that is apparently organically inside you. Do yourself and the whole world a favor and allow all of it to be received by at least yourself, and you will be your truest and best self for others also. This is what makes you capable of having inner space that can receive things from the divine, from other people, from your twin flame, so that you can also share things. It gives you the emotional depth and maturity that you're looking for in an actual relationship. 9. Wording your feelings is safe and allowed. In written language, journaling feelings is a great tool to get this going, in pondering silently in your mind, in speaking out loud to yourself. Record it and listen back. This can truly help. Or to others. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up, right? Feelings have the right to exist in your feeling area and ability, and also in your expressions, talking, communicating. It is not that it is only safe when you do it behind closed doors or in your private diary. It is something that is allowed to be open and be heard broader than that also. Now, of course, you are going to be a little wise in that you don't push it in the face of anyone you meet in the street or something. And your wisdom is where and to whom it is appropriate will also grow still while you are experimenting with these 13 points. And that is okay fully as well. What works and what does not. Be aware and move on to new situations and opportunities. Try it out. See what it is. See what it means if I express my feelings, or I just explain how I feel to my fellow people in my life. What happens then? Or maybe I just fall out angry to them, and what's the difference there? Or I've just sat down and journaled about my feelings, and maybe I can then actually express it just by explaining myself, and it's very peaceful. Maybe that just works for you. You can try that out. You're never too old to learn. And maybe you do the actual twin flame inner work also. You know? And you start to understand where the feeling actually comes from and how to love yourself there. And it has completely transformed in the twin flame way after you've done the twin flame inner work. And it really gets completely different from that as well. And maybe then you have true wisdom to say to your fellow people afterwards. You can experiment with that. And then we go to 10. Expressing how you feel to others is a regular sort of thing, and you have a right to do so. This is how relationship comes into being. And value starts flowing, leading to soul money. Yeah, and soul energy, and soul relationships, and twin flame union. Right. People do that. People that do not respect you expressing how you feel may exist. They may try to prevent you from doing so with overt or covert means of all kinds of sorts, and you don't need to give in to that. Essentially, people that do not respect you have no business being in your life. And relationships in which you cannot be honest have no place in it either. Of course, you oversharing or being emotionally all over the place is then not what you should do the other way around. This can be the case as well, and you could look if that is your issue. But let's keep it mostly at the main line of thought for this blog for now, allowing you to have feelings, allowing yourself to express them and be heard for them, especially for this step in a series of 13. 11. When feelings are out of order in your life, some extra notes need to be made. You can do it. Maybe you have let other people's feelings are also energy, in your space that was not good for you, and you need to take back that space for yourself. Or you have unwittingly leaked your feeling energy into other people's spaces, and you'll need to stop that and possibly repair. These processes will be corrected for you when you persist and have patience in the order of allowing yourself to feel. They may go with very large negative so-called outings, and that is actually normal when you look at the abuse that this situation represents. For you actually show the perpetrator what they gave you and hand it energetically back to them to deal with it themselves. That phase will pass once you've returned to the feeling space that is rightfully yours, that has indeed an organic boundary to it that you are now more aware of. That is a great thing and a divine gift to include from now on and move forward with, knowing that boundaries also fluctuate relative to your life phase. Students may ring each other's door unannounced to visit, professionals make appointments, and families probably something in between, as an example. And the purpose of a situation, meeting someone as a coaching client, has another purpose than meeting them as a friend. Okay, yeah. It may be important to love thy enemy as much as thyself and thy neighbor, but love can be truly only taking place behind sane boundaries. When someone is clearly unwell, in denial and not working on it, they need to most probably be away from your feeling space and heal theirs for the time being. That is the right thing to do, because that is not a relationship in which you relate. Instead, there is denial. And where there is no relationship, you have no business being. Well, yeah, very important. And this is not seldom taking place for people. This is a very usual thing, that people have areas in their life where their boundaries are completely messed up or non-existent. They never experienced that, or experimented with that, how to deal with that in their lives to their own degree of satisfaction with it. And you unwittingly invite abusive situations, or you repeat them from childhood, and it's all a big mess. It's like, I try to do my best, but this is one big mess. So that's the point with when people are like, well, that's what people call emotional maturity, and when it's not there, and which is very often the case for grown-ups, you get into these kinds of things. Yeah. Wrestle yourself out of it and then establish correct personal space for yourself where your feelings are safe. Not by closing yourself off, but by being more open to be aware. Because a boundary is not that you close necessarily, it's that you become aware and you act accordingly. And you allow yourself space. Spiritually, when two people come together that have like matching feeling problems, and it becomes abusive and over each other's boundaries, and it becomes awful in some sort of way, spiritually, both the perpetrator and the victim are in the same degree involved in that energetic place of it's wrong here. And it doesn't really matter which one you are. You should just work that out, go away there as fast as you can, and then heal and have the correct personal boundaries restored so that you don't need to go back to that place as a victim or a perpetrator. Now, this is often what people don't like to hear, because they like to take this kind of reasoning as an argument to be a victim and to remain there, or unconsciously to stay positive about the fact that they are actually secretly a perpetrator. And that is not what it is about. That these are just interpretations of that situations where you need to go away. Because it is an unconscious, emotionally immature mess there. It was a mistake that you were hanging around there, no matter where it came from. And now I understand everything about being genuinely a small child that doesn't know any better and being perpetrated on by your own parents. All kinds of psychologically harmful stuff. And how long it can take you before you decide that to end that and whatnot, and to walk away from that place, and to see that maybe in the end you are not a victim. And you repair your self-worth there from the ground up. And how incredibly difficult that is. And how well it can be in certain places of that process to acknowledge that you were a victim and that you couldn't help it. And I fully understand that. So don't be mistaken there. But spiritually seen, the perpetrator and the victim are actually both. They shouldn't have been there, and they should withdraw and heal themselves. And if there then should be even a relationship afterwards, probably not. Maybe they were only there to spiritually seen to trigger each other into healing. Even when you don't ever see the other heal, maybe you healed, and that's enough. Because then you made useful sense out of that situation, at least for yourself. That's enough. Yeah. Okay, I guess that's enough about that for now. Let's go to 12. Step 12. Your feelings and how you deal with them start more and more to align with your true self. Your creative identity and your divine identity. That's what is your true self. Your true self. Because you are actually a life artist that allows the flow of the universe to pass through you, and that's your creative identity. And because you allow the flow of the divine to come through you in a certain way, that's also your divine identity, because it has something to do with the divine. This is where you will find a lot of safety and strength, for this is how you are supposed to live, whether others agree with that or not. Your feelings and how you deal with them start more and more to align with your true self. Yeah, this is where you will feel a lot of safety and strength, for this is how you are supposed to live, whether others agree with it or not. Okay, that was twice. Yeah. After you worked out the last step in your feeling journey and you come at step 12, it really starts to feel like home, like steady, like good, right? Even without maybe like doing the twin flame inner work in itself, the story of the feelings in itself that I have sort of taken out of the twin flame inner work and made the story of here. This is already a very good homey sense of being, right? 13, the final step. Once you fall into your states of being that we teach, or rather pass on, that together combined form union in flow, they are harmonious twin flame union and golden flow, you will see that your feelings are your expression of truth. Yeah, so when you do everything with the feelings course, and you also allow yourself to do the twin flame inner work, and you therefore, while you also did that, start to fall into alignment with the states of being of harmonious twin flame union and golden flow that belongs to your mission, then everything is coming together. So that's actually what you should aim for. And then your feelings start to become an expression of truth. What about that? Instead of an expression of abuse, right? We were 1.5 steps ago, we were still in the abuse. Yeah. That then has a natural authority that has no equal in people who have not gone through all these steps, yet still act with authority. They will fall away automatically by itself because it means nothing. It has no content or substance to it. Even when society or relationships keep that in place for the rest of their lives artificially, you don't need to be taking that into account in your feeling-wise, healed, creative universe. Amen. This means that to be a congruent young human being that feels their feelings and also has done the twin flame inner work and included that in this whole feeling practice as well, and you fall into the states of being of harmonious twin flame union and golden flow formation, you have become a congruent authority on your actual matured emotional state. In other words, whatever you're saying there that is the truth, that you have felt through and now can express in words, that is connected to the actual truth. And that's your authority. That is your natural authority that you now have. You're congruent in that authority here. And then you start to see that there are many people around that are just yapping about certain topics, but they don't know anything about it in the real congruent sense. They're not congruent with it. They're not congruent with their emotional state, and they're importantly also not congruent with their states of being of harmonious twin flame union and golden flow. In other words, with the relationship with their twin flame union and God. And you start to see like, oh yeah, they just are faking their authority, and you don't need to be that. So this is how you become truly empowered through feeling your feelings. And there's more in the blog. You can read it all, the rest of the whole blog, and the links that are in it. Oh yeah, there are links. Cool. You can read it inside the blog that I linked below underneath the video. And I hope I hope this helped. Much heartfelt magic and love I wish you on your twin flame journey. Full of feelings. Love from Petra.